A lot of fun, too.
Kind of like McMahon here we got coming on. Brilliant guy, great dresser, all the good stuff you need in a senator, you know.
I heard you talking to him off the air, so I can't wait to see where he is. State Senator Chad McMahon from District 6 is joining us from a vault in the state capitol. You're in a unique location for everybody watching on SuperTalk.fm.
That's correct. So I'm here in the Capitol building this morning, coming live to you from one of the most unique offices in the Capitol. I did not necessarily choose this office. This is the office no one else wanted, so I took it. And I've done a lot with it. Just a quick tour. I pulled some old photos of some old trains out of the archives and had them blown up. And then behind me is the actual revenue vault where the money used to be kept when they still dealt in hard currency every day. So it's a great reminder to me, Scott, every day that I'm a guardian of the taxpayers' money. So it is literally a 5-ton safe sitting here behind me. And it's a great reminder for me.
That's very cool, although it's also reminiscent. I don't know if you're a fan of the West Wing TV show, kind of like when Ainsley got stuck in the basement of the White House in the steam room.
I remember the show, yes. And then I've got let me show you something else here. I've got someone famous from Mississippi. This is Chief Piaminka, the great Chickasaw war chief, who he overlooks what I'm doing here. He's probably the most famous person from Tupelo ever, even more famous than Elvis Presley in his day. He would have been known around the world. Chief Piaminka, the great Chickasaw war chief, who was personal friends with George Washington. And George Washington wrote that they would not have been successful in the Mississippi Valley without the Chickasaw. So it's a great reminder to me. Of course, Elvis Presley's from Tupelo, so it's a great place to live. It's a 6-time All-American city. I love what the Mayor Todd Jordan is doing in the city, and the aldermen there, the city council, they're doing an amazing job. 6-time All-American city, one of the brightest spots in the state of Mississippi.
Love Tupelo. I haven't been there in a long time. I need to get back.
You would really be surprised, Scott. There's not an empty building in downtown Tupelo, and there's $60 million worth of new hotels going in downtown in the historic district. Name me another city in Mississippi where $60 million in new hotels are going in off the main highway in downtown historic area. It's incredible.
So what's bringing everybody to Tupelo?
Well, Tupelo has a lot of assets for the state of Mississippi. The largest bank in the state is headquartered in Tupelo, Cadence Bank. The second largest bank in the state is headquartered there, Renaissance Bank. The largest high school in the state is Tupelo High School. The largest rural hospital in America with 12,000 employees is headquartered in Tupelo. The largest foundation in the state, Community Foundation, which is CREATE, is there. The largest zoo in the state, the Buffalo Park. It's just an incredible place to live, and a lot of things are going on in Tupelo, in Lee County. And I want to give a shout out to my mayor at Saltillo, Mississippi, my Republican mayor, the first millennial mayor in Lee County, Mississippi. They have the lowest tax rate and the lowest crime rate in Lee County. But Lee County, Mississippi, that I represent, is the heaviest industrialized county in the state of Mississippi. 1 out of 5 people still work in manufacturing, building, furniture, building the #1 car in America, by the way, the Toyota Corolla, built by Mississippians for the world and for Americans. We've got Cooper Tires there. We've just got a lot of assets, just a whole lot going on in Tupelo. A lot of things have gone right because of good political leadership since the 1970s.
I got to tell you, I am learning more about Tupelo than I expected to learn today.
Don't undersell the blueberry cake donuts either. That has a lot to do with the movement.
Well, now you're
that
sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
too.
He's talking about the blueberry donuts at Connie's Chicken.
If
I know it well.
There, he's not leaving Tupelo, I guarantee you.
Yeah, I know it well.
I worked hard to lose 100 pounds in the past year. I have a feeling moving back home would put them right back on. Yeah,
it would in Mississippi.
Senator Chad McMahon here on Mornings with Richard Cross. I'm Scott Sands. So you started off, and we talked a lot about Tupelo, which I love to hear. But I wanted to spend some time talking about the vault, about the money, and
Sure.
whether or not any headway is being made in reducing the state taxes in Mississippi.
So, Scott, I want to compare and contrast just for a moment the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. The Democrat Party is fighting against making America great again. The Democrat Party is fighting against traditional values like boys are boys and girls are girls. Let me contrast that with the Mississippi Republican Party. The party is fighting among ourselves for a tax break for hardworking Mississippians. Now, contrast that. We're fighting about what the percentage is going to be for a tax cut for Mississippi working families. That's worth fighting over. And I'm glad Republicans are having this conversation. One party ran this state for 138 years. The Republican Party has had every office in the state of Mississippi for 6 years. And we are recalculating the tax code. And we are going to reduce the taxation on Mississippians, brought to you by the Mississippi Republican Party. We will get this done one way or the other.
So I'm gonna plead some ignorance here. What is the state tax rate as it compares to some of your neighbors like Alabama and Tennessee?
Well, our tax rate currently is competitive across the country, but it's not as competitive as a lot of our economic teams want it to be. I want, and the economic teams of this state want us to eliminate the state income tax. And that's my goal as well. I would like to see the state income tax eliminated in a piece of legislation this year. And it may take some time to do it. It might take 8, 10, 12, 16 years to get the job done because it is 1/3 of the state revenue. But if we can start reducing the state income tax now, and we do it slowly, it'll give our economy time to grow. And by the time it's fully implemented, we won't miss that revenue.
You know, I could find you an extra $40 or $50 million in taxes on online sports wagering.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to online sports wagering. I'm not opposed to it. The people I represent have overwhelmingly shared with me they would like to see it, and so I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, and what about legalized marijuana? That's also a good tax base.
So I will say that Mississippians voted for a cannabis program. And although personally I don't use cannabis, it's not something I've ever used, I honored the people's vote in Lee County, Mississippi. 72% of the district that I represented voted for legalizing a medical cannabis product. So I reluctantly voted for it. But I'm here to do one thing, Scott, to vote the will of the people that I represent and sent me here. And that is the mark of a good legislator, to do what the people have asked you to do. It's 72%. I can read. And when 72% of the district supported it, I spoke against it before I cast my vote, based on what I think it's going to do to our next generation and future generations. But I did honor the vote of the people, and I voted for it.
Yeah, we're seeing some of that where I live right now in Ohio, which just passed it within the last couple of years. It's bringing in some money, but the state's obviously worried about the aspects of what it could do to society down the road. We'll have to dive into that another day because I know it's been discussed in Mississippi as well. Senator, are you able to stick around for another segment? I wanted to ask you a couple other things. I don't know how much time you've got.
Sure. Hey, thank you for the invitation. It's super to be on SuperTalk on a super sunny day, and I'll stick around as long as you like.
You are super energetic. State Senator Chad McMahon from District 6 here. Mornings with Richard Cross. I'm Scott Sands. My name is Scott Sands. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. I'm joined by State Senator Chad McMahon. It's great to have you on from the vaults at the state capitol. I wanted to hold you over as Vice Chair for Business and Financial Institutions. In a few minutes, Natalie Brunell is going to join us on the show. She's a crypto expert. Has there been any talk in Mississippi about creating some sort of similar crypto Bitcoin strategic reserve? It's one of the things here in Ohio that they're considering as well.
We've had several conversations and bills dealing with cryptocurrency, and here in the state of Mississippi, we are treating crypto as a commodity and not as a currency. So yeah, we're looking at that possibility about what it might look like to have a depository for cryptocurrency. But as I've stated, it's a difference in currency and a commodity, and it's treated as a commodity. just like gold and silver is a commodity.
I'm a tech guy and had opportunities to buy Bitcoin in the very early days, but the entire concept of it worries me a little bit. I know a lot of people who have made money from trading crypto, but it seems kind of sketchy at the end of the day, and I'm not sure from a position of responsibility in the government that you want to be investing billions of dollars into crypto and have it do what Bitcoin has done in the last 2 months, which has dropped in 25% of value.
Well, as I stated, it's a commodity. I do not hold any crypto myself, but a lot of people do. They believe in it, and if it's going to be traded in Mississippi, I want it to be traded legally and fairly, and I want there to be recourse for the consumer if they're taken advantage of. And there have been some Ponzi schemes in crypto, as you know.
Oh, yes, I'm well aware. Well aware of some of the meme coins that have the Hawk Tua meme coin is the one that stands out in my mind, and the rug pull that she had on that, the social media viral girl who created a meme coin cost a lot of people a lot of money, and she wound up making millions of dollars from that. The other side of things that you may have an influence over is any state Doge concept. We've got about half a dozen states that either already or are considering some sort of governmental efficiency department in their own state.
I'm glad you asked that question. So I serve, thanks to Delbert Hoseman, I serve on the Mississippi Peer Committee, which is a committee of 6 House members and 6 senators. And we do oversight. We look into government agencies. It's a committee that actually has the authority to audit the auditor if they wanted to. But in 2021, the peer committee sent a letter to the governor requesting he put out a letter requiring all Mississippi employees to return to office. We were doing that long before the federal government did it. And we have a bill now in the state Senate. It's sort of an omnibus bill that gives the peer committee additional powers. It gives them subpoena powers. It gives them the ability to look into more agencies, have more authority. And I'm for that because I want to be sure that the Mississippi taxpayer is getting a good value for the money that they're investing in this state.
If you had to put a number on it, how much of the state government do you believe you could cut, and how much efficiencies could be created with the city and county governments?
I wouldn't want to speculate on something like that. I do think there are some opportunities to save some additional tax dollars in this state, but I just wouldn't want to speculate. What I do want to focus on, though, is I want to encourage Mississippi families this morning. You know, Mississippi we have a balanced budget in Mississippi. We spend 2% less than the revenue that's brought into the state. We don't print money out of thin air like the federal government. We live on a balanced budget, just like Mississippi families. We sit around a table, senators and representatives, and we bang out a budget, and then we come to a compromise that we can agree with. And but we're fighting to give Mississippians a tax break this year.
That would be fantastic, and also work to stimulate the economy right now.
I would think so. Yeah, well, whether it stimulates the economy or not, what I'm for is making sure that Mississippians have their own money. They know how to spend their money better than the government knows how to spend their money. And look, I applaud what Donald Trump is doing. This nation has been ripped off for a long time by trading partners, and Donald Trump is telling them to get their house in order. And it's going to be painful. I want Mississippians to understand and Americans to understand what we're about to go through is going to be some pain involved in these tariffs. We're going to see food products continue to rise. We're going to see furniture and metal and automobile components rise, which could add to the cost of automobiles, but it's the right thing to do to bring manufacturing back to this country and leverage our trading partners and let them know we're going to be fair traders, but we're not free traders, and we're not going to be taken advantage of.
Well, in the last segment, you talked about the manufacturing base that you've got there in your district and in the Tupelo area in Lee County that could really benefit by bringing some of these jobs, some of this manufacturing back to the state, back to the U.S.
Yeah, and Scott, let me share this. We all have to put our money where our mouth is. I bought a set of tires about a month ago, and they quoted me several different brands, and I said, look, we've got 3 tire companies in Mississippi. Cooper Tire, which is Goodyear. Then we've got Continental Tire in Yokohama. And I said, I want some tires built in Mississippi, even if I have to wait on them. And I did have to wait on them, had to wait on them 3 days. But I bought tires in Mississippi. I paid $84 more for those tires built by Mississippians. Same thing when I go to my grocery store. 2 weeks ago, I went to the grocery store and purchased catfish. There was a product there from overseas. There was a catfish from Louisiana. And then there was a catfish company right here in Mississippi, Simmons Catfish. And I bought the Simmons Catfish, and I paid a little bit more for it. But that's the mentality we're all going to have to start thinking about to make America great again and bring these jobs home and make our economy strong.
It's interesting, and I'm certainly not an economist, but there is a possibility that these tariffs could actually wind up being deflationary, because if certain items cost more, the prices might naturally come down. So we'll see what happens. I know that over the weekend on Air Force One, President Trump avoided talking about whether or not he expected us to enter a recession. But certainly I think the next 30, 60, 90 days, as these tariffs are rolled out, will be interesting to watch how the stock market and how the economy reacts.
Yes, sir. My message to Mississippians is buy local. I shop at my local grocery stores. I buy locally. I shop at local restaurants, and I'm encouraging Mississippians to do the same thing.
State Senator Chad McMahon here on Mornings with Richard Cross. I'm Scott Sands. Quickly, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the week, Senator, the school choice debate has been continuing in Mississippi. Is there any life in this session, or is it going to have to be punted down the road?
Well, Scott, if you ever come to the legislature, you'll find out no legislation is dead until we sine die and go home for the session. So I think the last day of session officially is April 5th or 6th by Constitution. We have Constitution timelines on it. Nothing here is dead until it's dead and we sine die. On school choice, I do support some public school transfers. I've looked at that. I had some amendments for the legislation in the Senate that has not been brought forward yet. I will probably support the legislation after talking with families and superintendents and teachers and parents. I will probably support it with some amendments. But let me share this. A lot of people don't know this, but if you're a homeschooler and you want to be in the public school system in Mississippi, you can do that. You can actually, the Prentiss County Schools has an online high school. So if you're a homeschool parent and you want your child to be in a public school, you can do that through Prentiss County School. They have computers and cameras in the classroom. You sit through the normal course of day. So a lot of parents, I've encouraged parents to look at that, and some parents are having a lot of success with that because it takes the burden off the testing and all the requirements and documentation off of the parents, and it's back on the student when they're going to school and they're taking their regular test online. So that's something that's being offered in Prentiss County.
And I don't know exactly how it works in some counties in Mississippi, but I know in Ohio that homeschooled children are also eligible to participate in extracurricular activities in the public school system, which allows the kids the opportunity to be socialized.
Yeah, I've heard of the, I think they refer to it as the Tim Tebow law in Florida. We don't have that here in Mississippi at this time.
State Senator Chad McMahon, thank you so much for your time. It was nice meeting you.
Scott, nice to meet you, and I extend an invitation to you to come to the Capitol one day this week, and I'll buy you lunch.
Well, I'm up here in Ohio. It's a long drive, but I'll be back in Mississippi soon, and I'll have to take you up on that.
That lunch will be worth it. Let me know.
Need some good Mississippi catfish. Thank you, sir.